Welcome to Grey Roots Podcast with three rowdy grandmas who aren't afraid of tackling the mess of relationships. I'm one of your hosts, Carrie Oakley Miller, and we're glad you're here. All right, we are back. You guys, can you believe this is our last podcast of the season? Kind of crazy.
It's very crazy. I can't believe we're here.
Yeah, we think back to that time at your house where we just had this idea. Now here we are.
No, I'm so glad we did it for the 4 people listening.
I do think it's more than that, but it's been really fun just to do this.
It has.
Yeah. So for our last podcast episode, we are going to be talking about summertime because right now in Georgia, if you live in Georgia, it is green outside and most of it is the trees are beautiful, but the pollen is crazy, which is why my voice is the way it is. So
Same
with that
here
is
in
coming,
Alabama.
Really? Is it that way there? I didn't know if it did it.
So bad. Yeah,
it's crazy. But that means summer is coming. And so what we thought we would do is just maybe share some ideas and things that we did with our kids as they were younger. And then as grandparents, kind of what we do in the summertime. And Kathy is an early childhood development specialist, and she's going to share some creative ideas. Alicia and I are always learning from her of fun things to do with our grandkids. Yeah. So we will talk about that as well, just to give you some ideas. And I remember being a young mom and realizing that the day my kids got out of school was not the time to think about our summer plans. And so what was way behind, camps were all booked up. And so it's April when this podcast comes out, and it is not too early to think about what you're going to do with your kids in the summertime. So let's go through and just share, remembering when you were a young mom, some things, how you spent your summers with your kids, and maybe giving some tips and tricks on how to survive is not the word we want to say, but really sometimes it is just about survival. The summers.
So in Georgia, it's real popular if you live in a neighborhood that you have a neighborhood pool. And I'm going to guess Alicia did this, and Carrie, you too. But I know for me, it was the lifesaver in the summer is we had our system. We would get up, we would have lunches packed, we would go to the pool, and we would spend all morning through lunchtime. So my house stayed clean, which I loved. They ate at the pool, so again, no mess. Then they came back. We would go home about 1:00, and they would be wiped. And so then they all napped. And then the day, by the time they wake up, it's 3-4 o'clock, and all you're doing is winding down. It was fabulous. It was a fabulous thing to do with young kids. So, we lived at the pool in those early years.
Alicia?
Gosh, what did we do with the kids over the summer? We were at the pool a lot. And sometimes I'd even take them back in the afternoon after they woke up from a nap.
Yes.
And then I would
order pizza.
Bring them back home. Yeah. And then stick them in front of a movie while I made dinner. But as they got older, we did a lot of pool stuff when they were older and younger. But I always loved to do field trip type stuff. A field trip maybe is a good word for it, but I was all about getting them out and doing things that were fun for them and learning and educational. And they weren't always about the educational part of what I wanted them to be doing, but they were about the fun. So one of the things that we would do once they were kind of all in school is the last day of school. And like you said, Carrie, the last day of school is probably not the best day to start planning all this, but we would go out to lunch because it was usually a half day, and we would take a blank sheet of paper and they would get to make a list. And it was a brainstorming session, and nothing was off limits. They could, anything that they wanted to do this summer. They could say they wanted to go to the moon. They could say they wanted to go to Australia. They could see, now we know we're not going to do some of those things, right? But when they were brainstorming, they got to say it. They got to just think it and dream it. And then we'd take that list and we'd tape it on the fridge. And then we'd work on hey, well, what can we do this week? What can we do? One of them was going camping. One of them was, usually having an ice cream park, going to Brewster's. It could be a little thing, or it could be a big thing. We want to go to the Chattanooga Aquarium, or, we want to go visit Grandpa Al in the Keys, or, we want to just be able to go to Brewster's after dinner for ice cream, or take the dog for a walk, just all sorts of things. And so I kind of let them, get involved with what they wanted to do over the summer so that we could kind of pick and choose from that.
Yeah, we
That's
always
good.
did a summer
That's a good
bucket
idea.
list too, and I love that. My kids love doing that. And also there were a lot of movie theaters who had like dollar movies, or you could go.
Yes.
Do y'all remember that? They would play the
Yeah, on
old
Yeah.
like
movies.
Tuesday
Yeah.
mornings or
Yes,
something.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so that was always one that my kids loved to do. But I mean, so similar. I mean, and we homeschooled, so there wasn't this is the end of school. I mean,
Yeah.
we made an end of school. I mean, we didn't quote school in the summer, but it wasn't quite the same schedule, but very similar. It is a fun time. If I think it can either be an overwhelming time as a young mom, especially if your kids do go to school and then they're home. I think what you both have said is planning is so key, like getting ahead of it. And I do think it's fun to do a bucket list with them and let them have input, because they do think of fun things, making a garden, camping. We camped all the time when my kids were little. Some of their best memories are camping. And in fact, when I ask this question at every conference, if I'm given a talk about memories and connection, which I usually do, I always ask the question, what's your favorite childhood memory? And every single thing, every single time, it has to do with the relationship. Even if, and rarely does someone say Disney World, but if they do, it's because they went with a grandparent or their family was all together. It wasn't Disney World. It wasn't the big grand vacation. It was what that represented. That represented family time. So if we can just think about summertime as how can we be together and what are the things they're going to remember? No one remembers the grand things. They remember sitting by the fire, making silly stories. They remember, going out to the botanical gardens where they saw this crazy butterfly. They remember going to Brewster's. That's one of my kids' favorite memories. In fact, John
Mine
Michael still
too.
talks about going with Kurt.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
still
wow.
remembers going with Kurt to Brewster's. My kids love just going to sit out there and having an ice cream. It's one of their favorite childhood memories. So when you think of what you're doing in the summer, is you are depositing into their memory bank. What do you want that deposit to look like? And y'all said some
Absolutely.
great things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, for my personality, I need to have some things done first. Like I'm a doer. And so for me, I can't just take my kids to the zoo one day and then the next day we're going to go to the park and then the next day we're going to do this. For me, it was like, okay, each Friday or Thursday, let's say Thursday, you go, like somebody talked about having popsicle sticks with those things you guys were talking about on it. And so they picked one.
Oh,
They got to pick one. And then that's what we're going to do on Friday. So for me, I could compartmentalize. All right, I can do this, but on Friday, I am yours. We're going to have fun. We're going to go do this fun thing so that I could be fully present for them. When then I know during the week, and they know too that, okay, you do have to pick up your room. We do need to clean the house a little bit sometimes. So, but Friday was the fun day. So not just free for all the whole summer. For me, that would make me crazy. And I couldn't be present when the time came.
I think the point of that is you have to know your personality too. You can't become a different person for the summer just because it's summer. So if your personality is, and you also were a single mom, so you were having to do the job of a mom and a dad. So you felt the pressure and the weight of it a lot more than maybe some other moms did. So I think knowing yourself and knowing that, you know what, I get stressed out if the house is not picked up. So we're going to clean every morning. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get up, we're going to do our chores, and then we have the afternoons free. Or Monday through Thursday, we're going to stick with a routine, and then Friday's our fun day. Listen, there's no right or wrong. There's no it has to be done this way. It's just be intentional. Like you've got to be, if you're not intentional with planning some things for your kids, the summer's going to go by. You're going to be like praying for that bus to show up, and you're going to be kicking them out the door, and you're going to think, what did we do? So you got to be intentional and recognize you get 18 of these summers. Really. I mean,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And then and I'm sure you've heard, like, once they hit 18, the amount of time you see them, it drops so significantly. It's like for the rest of their life, it maybe add up to maybe even 1 year from after 18 on. Y'all, that is heartbreaking.
Geez, it is.
yeah.
So when you think about it like that, this is treasured.
We can be intentional is to like think about what that kid is like. They have to go to school. If they're not homeschooled, you can do this. But if they go to public school, think about what they're interested in. And where we live, there's a camp for everything. There's a class for everything. And a lot of them are free. You just have to really look for it. To find out what are they interested in. Like, Taylor, they did a home science camp in the summertime. go to a science camp or music or outdoor. I know there's like climbing trees camp. So
Horse
finding
camp,
out
cooking camp.
yeah, what is that child interested in? What brings them joy and makes them come alive if they're in school Monday through Friday, and then go cultivate that with them and let them learn a skill, or learn how to ride a horse if they don't know how. So that is so much fun to do with our kids, to find out and to invest in that if you don't homeschool, because that's one of the things about homeschooling you can do, is do that year round. Just being, like you said, being intentional about their time in the summer and showing up where, like, knowing my own limits and showing up where I know I can show up well, rather than party time all summer, because that's not happening here. Alicia, do you have any more like intentional things that you guys did in the summertime? I mean, I know one of the things we did was swim lessons with you, teaching my kids to swim. Teach your kids to swim in the summer. Too. Use that as a time to teach them to swim.
Yeah. And if you're in the Atlanta area, we'll do a commercial for Alicia. She does own a company that teaches swim lessons. So Tradition it is. Okay. Yeah. So you can find her online with that, because all of our kids learned to swim from Miss Alicia.
Yep.
And it was such a great memory. Listen, one of my favorite things is we did movie night through the alphabet. So we would have like A night. So we would have a snack that started with A. The movie had to start with A.
Great idea.
So all the things. And we did that. And the kids absolutely loved it. And we carried it on through the year, because obviously there was more letters in the alphabet. So they loved doing that and coming up with a funny snack that went with, Dumbo and donuts, or, Aladdin and I don't even know, apple pie. I don't know what we made, but those kind of things. That was a fun thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move into grandparenting. Now we're grandparents. We have grandkids. And is there something that you guys do? I know they're still young, but there's anything that you do with your grandkids in the summertime? Or how can we be intentional about that time with them?
Swim lessons with Mimi or Gigi. You're Gigi,
swim lessons with Gigi. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to do cousin camp. We started that last year, cousin camp with my nephews, and we're going to try and continue that with the grandchildren. I don't know at what age. So, I mean, my oldest grandkids are just now 8. So I don't know if we're going to start it this summer. The other thing we're going to start, my daughter-in-law, Caroline, when she turned 10, her grandparents took her on a trip. They took all the grandkids on an overnight trip, 2 nights, when they turned 10. And Caroline said of all the memories of her grandparents in the summer, that was one of the most treasured 2 days in her life. They all went to Charleston. And so she asked me if I would do that, consider carrying on that tradition. And so I absolutely agreed. So the kids were just here. And even though they're just now about to turn 9, so it's a year before they're 10, we just already are starting to think, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? So we'll take the boys this time. And then of course we'll have more. And so I'm excited about that, carrying on that tradition, because one, it honors my daughter-in-law and carries on something that was important to her. And the kids are starting to get so excited about that. And it's a way that nothing replaces that special time. That's, it'll be 2. There's 2 of them. There's twins, but still 2 is a significant less than all 6 of them at one time. So we will do that coming up.
That is such a great idea. I love that. You mentioned Brewster's. So last week we're celebrating Millie's birthday, and everybody went to Brewster's after the restaurant that we went to. And it was so strange because my kids are there. Now my granddaughter is at Brewster's eating the same ice cream that my kids ate because Kurt took them to Brewster's. So it doesn't have to be this big, huge ordeal. It can be ice cream every now and then with
Listen, and that will become their favorite memory. I am telling you, I have asked tens of thousands of people, and the amount of people who said something like getting ice cream with my dad or getting ice cream with my grandparents, or, it is the smallest of things that they remember. But it is the doing it. It's the doing it. It doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive.
And being fully present. Being fully present while we're there with them. Get off the phone, put the phone away. And I'm conscious of that.
The phone.
Put it away. When I open Roy sees it, he sees it. I'm like, oh, put it.
And those babies want to take it. Caroline asked Malachi, who's almost 4, what was his favorite thing about coming to Nana's house this week. And he said, I got to petted Winston. So a dog, right? I got to petted Winston. So it is the smallest, simplest things that we can offer these kids. Alicia, you're always taking your grandkids places and doing things. You're like the go-getter, Gigi. What are some of your, I mean, seriously, I mean, not only do you travel everywhere, you take those grandbabies and go places.
Taking them places to go see stuff. One of the things that I remember doing with our kids and is we would camp in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
I would get them like little flashlights from the dollar store, and that was just kind of a fun thing. As far as taking them places, I mean, I would just encourage you, like, wherever you live, go Google some stuff. Right. I feel like we're in the Atlanta area. There is so much here. I mean, just recently we took the grandkids to the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga. That was actually their Christmas gift. And so we've just kind of gotten around to it. It was kind of a cousin crew type of thing, the ones that were old enough to go. But, there's also Wilderness in the Smokies where we live, where they have a pool inside, like an indoor pool attached to the lodge where you stay, which was pretty cool. There's Dollywood. There's, all sorts of things, and even just camping. Although I don't know that I'm going to get Jeff to go camping unless it's in a cabin anymore.
Especially in Georgia in the summertime. No, thank you.
About done with camping. Well, one of the things that we did with our kid, we did it 4th of July, and we had like no money this year, but we went camping in Helen over the 4th of July weekend because everybody was going somewhere, and they're like, why can't we go anywhere? So we went camping up there, and in the Chattahoochee National Forest. Now it sounds miserable. July in Georgia, in Atlanta, is humid and hot and sticky. The only place you really want to be is in a pool. But we went to Helen, and it was up in the mountains. By the time we got up to the top of where we were going to camp, and this was like primitive camp, there was no water, there were no toilets. It was like 10 degrees cooler. It was like 80. It was beautiful. And we had a canopy of the trees that shaded us from the sun. And they loved that camping trip. They started asking like, hey, can we go there again? I think we came down and tubed. You could take them tubing. There's all sorts of indoor, outdoor pools that they have. Of course, I'm all about the pools and everything.
Yeah.
I have taken, the last couple of summers, I've taken my granddaughter Elise to, there's a place in Dahlonega where they live that's a theater, like not a movie theater, but a theater, like old school theater, right? And I've taken her to see 112 Dalmatians and some little musicals that she can go see. Yeah, and we just have like a little Gigi date, and we go for ice cream usually afterwards, and stuff like that. Take them to the state park. Take them everywhere.
In a few weeks,
I took my granddaughter to get my car washed, and she thought it was the grandest thing ever. Just to get the car washed and go to Chick-fil-A. I mean, or go spend the night at a hotel. Just literally go to a hotel, spending the night, and then let them jump on the beds, and then go to the hotel pool.
Yeah,
that is a fabulous, fabulous memory. You don't have to go far.
Great idea.
Yeah. That's true.
In a couple of weeks, we're doing a grandparent gardening day. I'm having the grandkids here, and they're gonna help with the garden. We're gonna plant flower. I got them all these shovels and kind of have a little basket of fun gloves and stuff. So we're gonna do that. But one thing I did, and it was because of this podcast that reminded me of it, is ask when I do want to take them somewhere. Ask the parents, like, here's what my plan is. We're taking Millie out on Thursday for her birthday up in Athens, and I had a few ideas, skating and a movie. And, what do you guys think about this? Here's the schedule. And just asking them, because you guys are taking your grandkids, like maybe some daughters-in-law and sons-in-law aren't comfortable with that. Maybe they're not, letting you, if you're somebody who they're not letting you take the kids overnight or somewhere. The ice cream is an option. A theater program is an option, but definitely approach it in a way as like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Are you guys okay with that? Rather than, here's what I want to do because this is what we always did, or, just approaching it in a way of, here's what I want to do. Are you guys okay with that? Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Before you mention it to the kids, right? Don't be that grandparent that says, hey, we're going to go to the aquarium. It's okay with you guys, right? And then they have to say, no, it's not. And then the parents
don't ask in front of the kids for sure.
Don't ask. Same rule as when your kids came home, right? You don't ask. We had that rule. I don't know about y'all, but when the boys wanted somebody to spend the night or wanted to do something with someone, if they asked in front of their friend, the answer was an automatic no.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I would say that, but then I always said yes. I mean, I did have the title of the yes mom. So let's talk about, as grandparents in the summer, a lot of times that's when we do get to see our grandkids more because they're out of school and they come visit more. I know mine are coming back in June, and a couple of things that I did, I just want to share, and then I want us to talk about. Again, it's back to the host and hosting episode we did a few weeks ago. What can we do to make our home a place that they feel welcome? Let's talk about that. When they come visit, what are the things that we can do so that there's things for them to do? Because I don't know about your grandkids, but mine come in and they would immediately turn on the TV, and we don't have our TV on throughout the day. And it's not that I can't turn on the TV, but we live on a lake. I mean, we have so many things to do here in nature that I want them outside and exploring. So how do we set up our space so that the grandchildren know they're welcome? And I know you girls both have spaces. So tell us about your space for grandkids at your home.
So we have a grandkid room upstairs. It's one of our bedrooms, and that's where they have their beds. If they spend the night, there's toys up there. And fun fact, Mom, all those toys that you are accumulating and then you give them away when Christmas or birthdays come or whatever, give those to their grandparents. Give those toys because they just come live at my house. The toys do. And then the kids are like, oh my gosh, I remember that. And it's a special toy now because something they haven't played with in forever that sat at the bottom of the toy box, they love playing with because they only get to access it when they're here every once in a while. We also have a trampoline out in the back. And I love that, especially for the boys, because I mean, I love it for Elise too, but like, especially Law, I just feel like the jumping and the flopping and the spinning and all that stuff for him is,
vestibular motion.
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I have a little picnic table outside that's kid size. And if we do crafts, that's kind of where they do that. And so if it's going to be nice outside, I'll get some stuff and like just put crafts out. There's like a little bin underneath the table. And so I'll just put everything in the bin and I'll be like, there might be something in the picnic table bin. You should check, and then they run and,
Cute.
and then they can just go straight to doing their little craft
Cute.
coloring or whatever it is. New coloring books. I'll do that every once in a while. Like Easter's coming up. So I'll go get I used to get 99-cent coloring books. Now they're like $4. I don't really understand how that's working, but I
don't own a coloring book in my house.
Books. No, just paper.
Just paper. And lots of art stuff. Yeah. I'm a big fan of, it was interesting because we were at a restaurant we went to eat, and it's just funny because I'm, again, child development specialist, so I'm very picky about my things. And their 84-year-old grandmother was complimenting them for coloring in the lines. And listen, if one thing I do is I never teach a kid to color in a line. I'm like, color outside the line. And she was so cute. She's like, look at you coloring in the line. And it was precious, but developmentally, we want them coloring however they want to color. Coloring book is great as long as we don't expect them to color in the lines.
Yeah.
And
great tip.
That's what it does.
Great tip. Because I feel like you just gave somebody an aha moment and freedom. I feel like
it is freedom because, I mean, listen, coloring books aren't bad. I mean, they're adorable, but the pressure it puts on some kids because if they are type 1, type A personality, they're going to feel the pressure to color in the lines, and developmentally, they might not be able to do that yet. And so it becomes a frustration for them if you ever see a kid getting frustrated. So for me, I have a cabinet where I keep everything organized. I've got paints, I've got stuff to make slime, I've got my stuff to make my Play-Doh, I've got scissors, and I've got pencils, and I've got markers, and it's all organized. So all I have to do, I can tuck it away, then I pull it out when they come. Right. I use BioColor paint, which is quality paint. It's a little more expensive, but it comes out of everything. It's discount school supply. Jeff just built me a new plexiglass easel. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. It's huge, and the kids can do shaving cream art on it. They can paint directly on it. It's this big, massive easel for them to use when they're here. So now our outdoor space, I feel, is complete, even though they did just break our little picnic table when they were here. Well, I mean, I think it was rotting. I don't think they broke it. But so Jeff has to build me a new picnic table for the next visit. But anyway, I think you don't have to have it all out. You just have to have it and keep it organized. If you have it organized, it's easy to say yes, whether you're a mom or a grandmom. That having the materials and having them easily accessible is your easiest way to say yes. So I make sure I keep it. It's easy. I have stickers. I have all the things that I can just pull out quickly whenever they ask, and then I can put it away and never see it until they come in the next time. And then the other thing I have is, if you've been to my house and you've you guys have not, but I'll put a picture up for us if we want, is I have a space under my stairs that I have turned into our kids' space. And that's for any young kid, of course, because we do have kids that visit, but it's got a reading nook in there. It's got dress up clothes. I have magna tiles in there. I've got Legos. I've got baby dolls. I have some puzzles, a variety of things. And it's so funny because they always want to take the things home. Do your kids want to take the stuff home, your grandkids? They're like, Nana, can I take these Legos home? And I always say no. It's not because I couldn't care less. It's because I want you to have something to look forward to. And they do. They want their little Lego box the minute they get here. Malachi's the one into Legos right now. And he built and built and built and built when he was here. So again, you don't have to have a lot, but you do have to have a few things accessible to them and let them use it. And then be willing to put away things. It was funny. I didn't do a great job of putting away things this time. And I now have my youngest grandbabies are 1.5. So they are toddling and grabbing everything. They broke a picture frame. They, knocked a candle on the ground. Like once they left, I found all the little things put up all around my house. I had to go collect and move back because of those things. So, you know what? Don't get all up on your high horse about that. Just move it away and move it back when they leave. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Anyway, I ranted. Sorry. I get all passionate about this
you have
stuff.
such great ideas. And so Millie and Hank, they've all lived in Tennessee and they just moved to Atlanta. So they don't come over very often. So Roy is really the first one that's comes over at least weekly. And so it's been fun to have those spaces. And you've absolutely encouraged me to have stations. Like we have a train table and kind of growing with him. What is he like? What is he interested in? So we have a train table and I have it organized, like there's an organized, and he loves it. And underneath are different bins. We've got the cars, just the cars in this bin. And he's so great about now knowing to put them away where they go because it is an organized place. And I think that's just his personality anyway. And then having a table.
We definitely don't want to be. Go ahead. No, sorry.
We have a table in our kitchen. It was Taylor's, actually. All those things you think, oh, I'm going to get rid of this. No, keep it. Keep it. It was Taylor's table that sits right at the window and the bird feeder's right there. And so that's where he eats. And he just knows that's where he goes to eat. And so he knows right over there. So I feel like it's been really nice to have consistency. So when he comes over, he knows this is what we do. You sit down and eat. You don't walk around. Like just having those small things, I think gives them peace and willingness for him. He wants to come over now because it's not, I mean, it is chaos sometimes, but not really, like to have different stations and places and have it the same. Just the same. Here's your cabinet, and that's where your plates and bowls are. You want to go grab a bowl? Yep, they're in the same cabinet. Here's the snack drawer. Millie loves the snack drawer when she comes over. Pulls up. So just having those simple things that are consistent. It doesn't have to be grand every time. It's those simple things, right? When I go to grandma's house or when I go to Gigi's house or grandpa's house, whatever, here's what they have. And it's pirate booty. That they come over and they want pirate booty because that's their favorite thing. So
they just want to say booty.
Yeah, that's what my kids did when they were little. Yeah. So it's been fun just to have so that when he is coming over, it's not this grand thing. I got to get everything out. I got to get the house ready. Like it just stays the way it is, and he's just part of the family and comes on in, and it's just a fun way it's not a stressful thing when the grandkids come over now.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, too, we don't ever want to be the grandparents that are untouchable or the house that's untouchable. I think we all have memories of either our grandparents or someone else's. And all I thought about is you couldn't touch. You had to go. I remember John's grandparents, they had a glass coffee table. And I remember one time John Michael was spinning, as he loved to do. And he fell and sliced his head open on that coffee table. And we had to go and get stitches. And it's not that you have to decorate your house for the grandkids, but it is be mindful if you're going to be in a season like we know for the next 10, 15 years, we're going to probably have lots of grandkids coming through this house. And what are some things we can do to make them feel comfortable? It's valuing people. It's valuing children. It's the whole gentle parenting thing. It's such that people think it's a craze to gentle parent, that it's like the latest thing. It isn't. All gentle parenting is that you recognize that children are people too. And that you just you honor them for where they are, not for what you want them to be later. So that's even how you design your space. You design it that they matter now. And so you're going to have things for them now and as they grow. And for the summer, think about the memories. Think about the memories. They will have memories of their time with you as their grandparent. What do you want that to be? Don't touch this. That's Nana's. Or look at all this stuff you can touch and explore and play with.
And then the parents will be more relaxed when they come over. They'll be more willing to want to bring their kids over or to come over, because then they'll be able to just, instead of don't touch that, don't break grandma's flower pot, they'll be able to relax and enjoy themselves.
Listen,
too.
my grandsons, the ones turning 9 for their birthday, their mom asked them what they want for their birthday, and they said to go to Nana's house. So to me, that is the ultimate compliment. So we have already planned out. One wants an ice cream cake, so we're going to make an ice cream cake, and then the other one wants a carrot cake. So we're going to make a carrot cake. So I'm like, there's nothing better that they want to come to Nana's house for their birthday. So we're going to make that happen. Yeah.
Great. All right. Anything else, you guys? This is it. This is our last recording of the season. We will be back in the fall. Throughout the summer, we're going to do, hold on, let me open it up. You guys have any last words for summer?
I would just say, if you don't have ideas, follow me on Instagram, Play Skillfully with Kathy Eggers, or on TikTok. I'm sharing all the time about things we've done, our mud kitchen, our music station, our mailbox idea. I have lots of ideas that I post on those platforms.
Absolutely. As you were talking, I just thought about, what about the moms that aren't home with their kids that are working? Do you have any camps? I know Camp Highland was a place where my kids went. Camp All-American. Do you guys have any other ideas?
I mean, I think you can Google that for sure. I think there are tennis camps. My kids loved at our the club that we belong to. They would take tennis camps or even swim camps, or just, week-long camps. They enjoyed that. So VBS. I mean, I know my daughter-in-law enrolls her kids in several of those throughout the summer, and kids love that. So, I think if you're working and your kids are going to that, don't let the guilt eat you up. It is your life and it is what it is. And so it doesn't mean, though, that you can't make memories with your children and that you can't spend time with them. You need to just think about the quality of the time. When you're with them, be present. Be present. Listen, there are moms who are with their kids all day long who are not present.
Absolutely.
Or grandparents. Yep. So show up.
Yep.
That's the stuff that matters.
Absolutely.
Put the phones away.
Yeah, great.
All of that. Yeah.
Ending to this episode. I love that. Any deposits, you guys, on this one? Be present, probably. Be more conscious of that, I think.
Be intentional.
Be intentional.
Find a way to be intentional this summer with the people in your life. Yeah. Wherever you are.
Yep.
I like that.
All right. So we will be on social media a little bit this summer. We're also going to do a live from Kathy's Lake House on Instagram. So we will let you know the dates of that. And we look forward to seeing you guys back in the fall. Have a great summer.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 You've been listening to Grey Roots, and we hope you're glad you made that choice. If you love us or even kind of like us, please go follow us on social media at Grey Roots Podcast and subscribe to us on your listening platform. Please share us with your friends and family if you think they would benefit from listening. Remember, we're all still learning.